Because of my confidence, I got me a lease paying $1,200 in a 650 square foot space. And at my grand opening, I had about 1,200 people. I couldn't believe that so many people would stand out in line to support me. And that's when I knew I had something really big. I was on the front page of the New York Times in the food section. Like, we built a multi-million-dollar business, and that was game-changing for me. Hey, what's up? It's Pinky Cole. I'm 35 years old, and I'm the founder and CEO of the world-famous $100 million brand, Slutty Vegan, ATL, born and bred in Atlanta, Georgia. Having a television background, I said, you know what? I know what people watch when they watch TV. They want stuff that's in your face, racy, raunchy, that's going to make them pay attention. But when you think about veganism, veganism has always been known to be pure, flavorless, clean, very green. And I said the two most pleasurable experiences in life is sex and food. If I can make people think about sex and think about food at the same time, I know that I can peel the layer back and educate you about veganism in a way that you've never seen it before. I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland. I grew up in a single-parent household. My father did 22 years in prison, while my mother worked multiple jobs to make sure that she took care of the family. I can remember my mom working so many jobs and learning how to cook with my grandmother because my mother was always gone working or pursuing her own entrepreneurial endeavors. As a musician, my father was and is an entrepreneur even behind bars. He would call me and tell me books to read. He would teach me about stocks. He would teach me how financial independence was the most important thing in this world. And I became a hustler at a very young age. I used to throw parties, I used to sell candy, I would sell food. When I graduated from college, I didn't have any job lined up except for Teach for America. And I'm like, I don't want to be a teacher. No shade to the teachers, but I knew that it was in the middle of a recession and I had to figure it out. So I packed up my bags and moved to Houston, Texas to work at Teach for America. I was out there for 5 days and I realized that I do not want to do this. And my friend gave me $40. And I went to the airport, and I can remember sitting in the airport with my Yorkie, Rudy, and a guy walked up to me, and I was bawling, crying, and he was like, what's wrong with you? And I'm just like, I'm not happy. I don't want to be a teacher inside of the classroom. I'm a teacher in other ways. And he said, I'll be right back. Do you know this man walked away from me, and he came back, and he gave me $240, just enough money to get me and my dog Rudy home, and I never looked back after that. I moved to Los Angeles, California to be an actress. And then I started doing background work. And I thought that I was good at it. But then one of my sorority sisters said, listen, you are broke, you need some money. I'm gonna give you a job working in television.
Hey, yo, Slutty Vegan! We got Pinky in the building!
While I was working at The Maury Show, I had this bright idea to open up a Jamaican restaurant. And don't ask me why. I just was like, hey, Jamaican restaurant, let's do it. I actually took over somebody's lease and I was paying $2,400 a month, which is crazy now because you can barely, $2,400 a month, that's the light bill now. So I went to Google and YouTube and I started learning everything I could learn about the restaurant industry. I barely knew what I was doing. I still don't know what I'm doing, but I barely knew what I was doing. I had the restaurant for about 2 years. And then I had a grease fire and literally lost everything in the grease fire. My car got repoed. I got kicked out of my apartment. I went flat broke. I got an opportunity to work in TV again. I was working as a casting director and I was done with restaurants. I was working on a TV show. They had a hiatus and I started delivering for DoorDash. And while I was delivering for DoorDash, I'm like, okay, cool, ghost kitchens. I've never heard of ghost kitchens, but I see it happening in LA. I realized I was just preparing for what I was about to create just a couple months later. And when they asked me to go to Atlanta temporarily to work on the show, it hit me like a light bulb, and I came up with this crazy ass concept called Slutty Vegan. I didn't have anything written down. I didn't have a blueprint. I didn't have a business plan. It was just an idea that sounded good. I started Slutty Vegan as a ghost kitchen. It was like a $5,000 startup cost to start Slutty Vegan. So I had to get my permits. I had to get the facility, which was like $1,200. I had to order my food. I had to get my first employees. I had to set up all of my online digital delivery platforms. A lot of entrepreneurs don't realize that if you really want to grow a company, you have to reinvest everything. When I tell you every single dime I was reinvesting, I was not taking any money for myself at first. I was just making sure that my employees were paid and that I had food in my business. The reason why I started a food truck is because the facility told me that I had too many people coming to the building, so I had to go. So they put me in a parking lot and I had to find a food truck on the fly. Didn't know anything about a food truck. The food truck was $45,000. So I had to put $10,000 down, and every single week I was paying like $3,400 every single week to make sure that I could pay it off. And I paid that off in like 2 months, 2 or 3 months. I got a DM from somebody on Instagram, and he told me that there was a restaurant that they were leaving the restaurant and it was available if I wanted to rent it. Because of my confidence, I got me a lease paying $1,200 in a 650 square foot space. And at my grand opening, I had about 1,200 people. I couldn't believe that so many people would stand out in line to support me. And that's when I knew I had something really big. It's the people who are the meat eaters that come to Slutty Vegan most because 1, they want to learn what the hype is about. 2, they have an idea that they can try this vegan thing, and if it's good, maybe I can continue on this path. And 3, Slutty Vegan is a vibe, duh. I'll be honest, I wasn't the most savvy business person when I started Slutty Vegan, but when it came to like pricing, I'm just like, okay, $16 sounds like it would make sense. That's the price. Like I didn't do any like extra calculations, but I grew as a business owner. I actually met the CEO of Shake Shack first, Randy Giroudi, and I reached out to him. I'm like, hey Randy, you don't know me, but I got a really popular restaurant in Atlanta and I would love to be able to sit down with you because one thing about Pinky Cole is I'm gonna shoot my shot. He responded. We went to lunch and we built a friendship, and ever since then he has been such a great mentor to me. And then a few months later, I get a call saying that Danny Meyer came to Slutty Vegan on a late night with a few of his friends and he loved the experience and they wanted to talk. It took a long time to get the investment. It took about 9 months. Slutty Vegan will be a $1 billion company. From my mouth to everybody's ears that's listening to this. 4 years ago, Slutty Vegan was just a ghost kitchen concept. And 4 years later, the company is now valued at $100 million. When you come to Slutty Vegan, it's a party. The atmosphere is just amazing. The music is booming through the speakers. The employees are dancing. Everybody wants to be a part of that.
S-L-U-T-T-Y, we gon' get you sluttified.
The fact that I have a $100 million business, I still pinch myself every day. Like, I'm not talking about $1 million. I ain't talking about 5 million. I'm talking about a black woman who owns a $100 million business. Forget the fact that I'm just a black woman. A woman, a minority-owned business, a woman whose family is from Jamaica, who comes from humble beginnings, who literally has never had a silver spoon in her mouth. Like, you are looking at the new American dream. I don't care if you black, white, blue, yellow, green. Slutty Vegan is for everybody.